Women's Human Rights Campaign is an international feminist organisation that promotes women's human rights. We've got a main focus on defending women's sex-based rights against threats posed by gender identity or ideology. You can find more information on our website, which is womensdeclaration.com, where you'll find our declaration on women's sex-based rights. It's been signed by 2,104 people from 122 countries, and it's supported by 267 organisations. This week's panelists at Feminist Question Time that I am delighted to welcome are Victoria Argoty from Colombia, Olga Radulovic from Serbia, Heli from the Netherlands. So the first question I want to ask is, Victoria, could you say something about the situation on gender identity in your country? Is there self-ID, etc.?
There is a self-identification of gender in Colombia. There have been several jurisprudence that has allowed it to become a legal and obligating thing in the legislation. The International Court of Human Rights issued a report in 2015 that incorporates the concept of gender identity. And this is the report that has been used to train all of the state's officers ever since. Besides that, the Constitutional Court has issued 2 sentences that are taken as a precedent, and it's almost made a law to recognize self-identification of gender. It is possible to change the sex item in the identity card by a notary procedure. It's very easy, so people don't have to go through medical or psychiatrist evaluations. These definitions of gender identity and sex assigned at birth are being used from the state, and this is the situation of self-identification. So this has led to a leadership of trans-identified females in state institutions and in the media, and it's become very fashionable to support transgenderism, and has become a moral crime to criticize this movement. I have to add that this leadership of trans-identified males in the government, in the institutions, has given an extra impulse to the legalization of sex work, what they call sex work. And I wanted to tell you about that later, but a trans-identified male has been appointed as the Women's Affairs Chief Office in Manizales, a city of Colombia, and this has resulted in the use of state resources in the promotion of prostitution.
We're now going to go to Heli from the Netherlands. She's a long-time, old-school, second-wave, bisexual radical feminist, currently living in Amsterdam. So, Heli, can you say something about the situation on gender identity in your country, the Netherlands? Is there self-ID, etc.?
It's important to understand, first of all, prostitution is legal in the Netherlands, and it's a very liberal country. So liberal feminism is very, very popular here. There was, I found out today, they proposed gender ID, and the time to write in a letter or complaint about it ended at the end of last year. Basically, nobody heard about it. It was kept really under the radar. So the only people who got to write anything about it were the trans lobby writing in support of it. There is, you know, everybody in the Netherlands pretty much has drunk the Kool-Aid. So there's not really a discussion there's no space for discussion if you're gender critical. We've got one woman here who set up an organization and is being quite upfront about being gender critical, but she's come under huge amounts of attack, which means that she's not, you know, the women here, basically, if you don't agree, you're living in fear. I've been excluded from all of the places that I used to be able to go to. Certainly most of the vast majority of the people of color here are all completely into the whole gender rubbish. So, and everything, basically everybody talks about self-ID as if it's a foregone conclusion, and trying to find out all of the other things that are in with it are really, really difficult, because all of the true information is being held very, very much under the radar. I think it's important to also note that the Netherlands as a country is very, very anti any kind of suing. So we've talked a bit about, you know, the possibility of young people maybe wanting to complain about the surgery that's being done on them. But the law is such that if you sue somebody here, you will automatically get like a negative, even if you win your case, you'll get a negative, that response, because they want to discourage people from suing. So even if you win, they really won't, you know what I mean? That's the whole thing, is we don't want people to sue, so it's discouraged. So and it's just very, very difficult. There's nowhere where it's possible to speak. And again, all of the young people are buying into it. I mean, they have one of the hugest institutes here in Amsterdam has spent loads of money just promoting the whole transgender ideology. It's in the museums. They paid for a book. They paid for what is actually indoctrination to be posited as educational. So it has the total support, and letters that have been written to all of the main political parties. The only ones that actually answer the letters are the extreme right Christian party. So there isn't even, there's no support for a gender critical voice here at all.